and welcome back to the channel. We've got our first Red Dragon replay today, so nothing that we've done before. I'll do it I'll give it my best shot, but no promises on quality. This is a 2v2 game between me and some friends, just, nothing ranked, nothing random multiplayer, anything like that. And I'm playing over here on the west side, playing a Baltic Front Mechanized deck. Bit of an oddball. I usually see that motorized, so I was just giving this a shot. And my ally is over here playing an Eastern Bloc deck. Now, our opposition to Blue 4 teams, the one centered in Anna, is probably the more experienced of the two, and the one over in Gregory is probably the less experienced of the two. My own focus on this will, of course, be on my perspective during the fight, but I'll do my best to give you guys a sense of what's going on all around. So, let's get on the way, and the deployment is going to be purposefully aggressive. So one of the things that can often happen, particularly on this map, is, the fight gets bogged down between Boris and Dmitry. They're hard to attack, they're easy to, I say easy to defend, but there's a lot of different weird vantage points through these mountains. So I send my paratroopers over to distract in the northeast, and a couple paratroopers over to secure Dmitry, with the main push going across the river and headed down toward Dmitry as well. So we catch first glance of the enemy. It's a scout helo, so nothing too crazy. And my ally, meanwhile, is going to secure Ivan, push toward Cheriton, and then he's also in charge of securing the middle at Fetter. Now the advance party headed over toward Elena gets, completely destroyed. So we have an Mi-24 that encounters the enemy, and there's a Chaparral, 2 Vulcans. Get a good kill on the Chaparral, but the 2 Vulcans are able to take down the attack helicopter there, so I retreat the Alouette, and I move our Super Puma with the paratroopers, I think they're Scout Special Forces, over to the east to secure one of these middle towns before their column can get there. Hopefully a bit of a deterrent to them as well, if they don't know it's all I have. Meanwhile, we've dropped off some recon infantry in Dmitry and gotten our first kill. This is an Mi-24 attack helicopter. It's an 85-point helicopter, very effective with rocket pods, also carries 6 Saplos ATGM missiles, and with how much was going over the bridge toward the center area, I thought that, maybe this will be lightly defended, lightly pushed, and we were able to get there with the airborne forces in good time, I'd say. Super Pumas, they're moving up specifically to take those AA missiles, so that the Alouette doesn't, so the Mi-24 doesn't. And now we have the armored column moving up behind. Over on the other side of the field, we have the scout infantry in the center. My opponent is so distracted he's completely forgotten to move his couple vehicles there. My ally is securing Fetter and has secured the high ground overlooking Sheridan. So far, so not terrible. If we come back this way, I just sent in a bomber, I think, to strike that position. Gets a couple kills, nothing crazy. And there's another Chaparral that's going to make operating very, very deadly. We have lost the Alouette, and here comes the armor car. So BMP-2s, not the best troop transports ever, but not bad either. And I brought Raskisin Korima, as best as I can pronounce that, because they have those long-distance recoilless rifles. So the entire column, admittedly pretty vulnerable here to a bombing run, but I had a ASF air superiority fighter up, ready to defend if that was the case. And we're just pushing through here, trying to get these infantry in towns, trying to get the IFVs up and forward, and this MH-60L DAP is a little bit too late to do its job. So these two are in response to that attack helicopter at first, but the helicopter, the Mi-24W, is already back at my base and resupplying. Now, the Cobra here and whatever might be in this area is a little bit of a different challenge. I suspected he might have secured it. We did have a couple blips over that way. So I'm moving up empty BTR-50 transports to get the rocket pods out of the way and to see if they can just face check something over there. In the meantime, I've kind of scared my opponent out of this zone, and we have a good collection of infantry, not all of it that expensive. These Promets as well, though, are AA infantry fighting vehicles with Zu-23-2 AoE guns, and they take care of the DAPs. They're also carrying anti-air infantry, that I had thought I'd unloaded and I didn't. So I had wanted those in town that are moving up, which was not exactly ideal. But so be it. And we do see a Chaparral and Adapt there. Also an F-15C Eagle coming in. But, oh, he is taking shots. It looks like that was called in to take out my scout helicopter, which, I mean, hey, that's a choice. And sort of as I mentioned, there's not all that much going on this other side. The newer players sort of turtled in Sheridan. Wasn't too much action over that way for most of the game. Well, there is a significant bit later on. So, now there's Humvee trucks coming in. I see that there's this big group here, and I'm getting a little bit bogged down fighting them. So we have another bomber coming in, Avia 28. Insufficient anti-air from my opponent. Takes a couple shots. I think he... no hits there. One of the times he gets pretty close to killing it. That takes out that hard point, and now I'm starting to call in heavier tanks, including this T-72 M1 Wilk. It's a 90-point tank. I say heavier because I don't tend to use heavy tanks all that often. Now we have eyes on an M1A1 Abrams. That's going to be a problem, because I'm not sure I have anything that heavy that I really want to bring out. It's a heavy point investment as well, and I'm more concerned with just making sure I've saturated this whole area with a fair variety of troops. So we had artillery coming in. That's from a US deck, so pinpoint artillery, of course. But it is cluster, it won't kill infantry, it just panics the Ruskus and Korima, and the BTR-50s and Promets are sort of just moving up, forming a screen. Hopefully big and scary and random enough guns to defy all but a dedicated push. Of course, for that dedicated push, we have infantry in these towns ready to repel. So, standard Yakari 90s securing Boris. I have a scout plane over on this side, and I'm really relying on my ally, who's done a wonderful job securing Fetter. So we have eyes on the Bradley CFV and a combat from my recon infantry between Fetter and Elena. And this is kind of... I mean, we don't need to push it, right? We have control, although not captured, Dmitri. Mi-24W does take out the M1A1 Abrams, so that's gone now. And we're in a pretty dominant position here. So we've secured one of the two center zones. We have Ivan, we have a forward position toward Sheridan, and as soon as I get enough points, we can call in a command vehicle for Dmitri, and that should be alright. Second Wilk coming in, so we do have two of those 90-point planes coming in, and also a 22 M4 Syria, which is one of my favorite planes to use in this deck. The ATGM's a little bit wasted on an M2A2 Bradley, but wonderful, wonderful anti-tank missiles, excellent range and high accuracy. So now we kind of see some of the problems the newer players having. There's really expensive units moving about, heavy focus on armored, and they're not really getting their money's worth. They're getting sort of shot in the side as they're moving over into position by a tank up on the high ground. Not exactly what you want. And now my ally is even getting a little bit of scouting on them because of these Grenzer in the woods. It's a 5-man squad. It's not really my favorite thing to use, but they can be very effective up near the front of a tree line. They're hard to see, and as you can see here, wonderful, wonderful vision, although some of that's also coming from the Motschützen. So, back on our side of the field, we've cleared out the, well, we've kind of cleared out this high position. There's cavalry scouts left, there's an M2A2 Bradley, and he does take out what remains of my Yakari 90, but that's not really a huge point loss, and I've noticed now that my bombers can get away with pretty much whatever they want. So in comes that Avia 28 again, and a little bit of a mistake calling out the Syria. Probably shouldn't have done that. But that's almost certainly enough to kill those cavalry scouts, and now we just have the single Bradley left, which he goes on an interesting journey. I kind of wish that he didn't, but I think he does eventually make it out alive, unfortunately. So we're going to speed things up a little bit as there's sort of a mid-game, I don't want to attack. Do you want to attack? No. Oh, no. And here comes the BMP 1K Copa. That's a command vehicle just like this one back here. 25 points, 3 frontal armor, 1 armor on the side, back, and the top. And I like this one because it's amphibious, decent autonomy, and the size is medium, but it does carry a 2A28 Grom, which is a surprisingly useful gun. Now this is the M2A2 Bradley, and is able to, well, stay far away enough from my Yakari Yeah, I've just lost the plane. Where did I lose the plane? I got so caught up, just like I was when I was playing the game, that I didn't even notice when I lost the plane. Oh, that's a mistake. I think I flew him too far over trying to poach targets on the front lines, and, well, there's quite a lot of radar AA on this side of the field. So, KPZ T55AM is a wonderful ATGM tank as well. It was 55 points. ATGM is not great accuracy or AP, but they can do, when they hit, they can do wonderful things. And, you know, you can see my little bit of encouragement here from my teammate of understanding that we have them on the back foot over on the western side. Well, that's not the time to sit back so much as it is the time to pressure other places, because if we sit back and they feel secure, they might be able to gather a push and return us out of this zone, which is not what I want to have happen. If we pressure them in the center, well, then we're trying to pull their reinforcements in several directions. And, ooh, yeah, okay, right of the Flight of the Valkyries here. Lots of helicopters going down against infantry, not really what you want to be doing. And we have the PALR Conquerors as well, just taking absolute pot shots at this armored column. Don't really know why they went around that way. That looks like bad AI pathing for something put on fast move. That's really something you have to be careful about if you are new to the game. Fast move seems like a really great option, but it can often get you killed. So we have a longbow coming in, again probably a little bit too close. He does get away with killing that KPZ from earlier, as well as some troop carriers. The longbow is a wonderful, wonderful helicopter. It seems he does get out scot-free at the moment. I'd sent a vehicle down to this west side. I figured he'd probably get seen, but you know, if he didn't, it was amphibious. I could get some sort of gun potentially back in my opponent's home zone, but alas, no dice. And now the point difference is getting a little bit insurmountable. We got a +4 tick, which is very dominant. In order to even that out, they'd have to push us out of either Dimitri or Feder and cap it themselves, which means in addition to the points necessary for the push, they'd also need a command vehicle of their own, or to push us out of 2 different zones, and it's, well, the game won't last all that much longer here. Eyes on an M1A1 Abrams on the eastern side, and I think that guy does go up in smoke. Resupply here from my ally as well, and yep, here comes cluster artillery. Let's see what it does. Kind of disappointing, really. Just the scatter on some of those cluster artillery pieces it's so high. Yep, there's good damage there, so the second shot did pretty well. And yep, there's that KPZ up on the high ground again. I think it's at this point I told him to manually target the Hempt, because otherwise your troops won't target supply vehicles, they'll capture them instead of kill them. And M1A1 Abrams opens up, missing KPZ, a couple of ATGMs finish him off, and there goes the supply vehicle. At this point we have 400 out of 500 points. There's been a little bit of skirmishing in the center. I moved up a BMP, 1 KT. One of them gets taken down by the AH-1J Cobra, but these things, very cost efficient, good optics, wonderful Bushmaster 2 autocannon, and yeah, so let's take a look. Getting shot at from 2 directions. 3 with the ATGM, still able to kill a Comvat, which itself is a very capable autocannon platform, before dying, so quite happy with that. And yep, there goes the longbow. One of the last losses in the game, I think. But, you know, that is an 85 point radar AA piece, nothing you should have been flying into. That tree line is a trap, and odds are he couldn't see this AA piece because going up against it is, well, not something you should do head-on like that. You really need to kind of come around, make sure you have good angles over and past tree lines with those very sensitive units. I try and get a little bit cheeky with this Sopel, and my opponent here is now, he's sitting there going, okay, well, at least I'll keep you out of my home zone, and there's the ATGM, kills a Sopel in a single shot. So, not exactly great for me. I'm just kind of throwing things at him at this point, a little bit sloppy, but if it works, it works. My ally here is moving his Grenzer down to scout out of town, and we're in the closing last couple points of the game, so we'll leave it there. Thank you all for hanging around, and we'll see you again real soon.